Hi, I'm Stuart Muir, host of Higher Ground, the only show dedicated to finding common ground in the contentious debate over BC's natural resources. With little doubt, fossil fuels are at the heart of the resource debate. There are those on one side who believe the extraction and burning of hydrocarbons for energy is destroying the environment and leading to irreversible climate change. On the other side, there are those who appear to deny society's impact on the environment and wishfully seek to continue business as usual. Here at ResourceWorks, we believe the answer to the debate falls somewhere in the middle. And this week on Higher Ground, we begin our discussion on what we can expect the worldwide energy mix to look like over the next 40 to 50 years. You may be surprised to know that many in the pro-resource camp, including those here at Higher Ground, do believe we are on track to eliminate our dependence on fossil fuels. However, we are realistic in regards to the challenges of achieving this goal in the short term. Those challenges are attracting large capital investment, scaling up renewable technology, absorbing energy cost increases, and promoting the adoption of renewables in emerging markets. To help us better understand what we can expect the worldwide energy mix to look like, Higher Ground reached out to Daniel Yergin, Pulitzer Prize winning author of The Prize, The Epic Quest for Oil, Money and Power. The prize has been called the definitive history of the oil industry, and it spawned a fantastic 8-hour PBS documentary series of the same name. I highly recommend reading the book and watching the doc. We caught up with Mr. Yergin in Vancouver last week when he was here, sponsored by the ResourceWorks Society, to speak at SFU's BD School of Business and at a dinner with the Beaumont Book Club to promote his new release, The Quest: Energy, Security, and the Remaking of the Modern World.
The prize started off, it was going to be a small project. It ended up being a 7-year project. And what I really wanted to do was tell the story of oil in the context of world history, of the conflict and clash of nations, of the building of the kind of society that we know today. So I really told it through people from the first oil well up until the crises of the 1990s. And it was an eye-opener for me because I learned so much. For instance, just one example, I thought I would write one chapter on oil in World War II. I ended up writing 4 because it became clear how important a role oil played in all the dimensions of the war.
One of the most memorable parts to me of the prize was your story of how in Pennsylvania in the mid-19th century there was a scramble for the first industrial scale extraction and movement of oil. And one of the rules that I believe you derived from that was that oil always gets to its market, whether it's through a wooden tube, the earliest pipeline, or through other methods. Do you think that oil from Western Canada will get to its market, whether it's in the USA or overseas?
A lot of Canadian oil is, of course, already going to the markets. The growth in Canadian oil sands has gone from about 1.2 million barrels a day, a little at the beginning of around 2000, to like 2.5 million barrels a day. And Canada is by far the largest supplier to the United States. Obviously, all the controversy around the Keystone Pipeline, the delays, the confusion has made Canada think more about global markets. And I think that inevitably Canada will find its way to markets other than the United States, either in the east or on the west. But one way or the other, pipelines, rail will carry it to global markets, and that will be beneficial to the development of Canada and be beneficial for Canada's GDP.
The new book, The Quest, is a little bit different, but it's also a very important book, and I also have read that. The Quest: Energy, Security, and the Remaking of the Modern World. What does this mean? What is your thesis?
Well, in the Quest, I really wanted to understand kind of how the different pieces of the energy world fit together. How does oil and gas, electric power, renewables, how did climate change go from being an issue that was of concern to a few scientists in the 19th century who thought we were going to have another ice age to being this, very pervasive political issue today? So I tried to kind of combine all of that in a narrative. So unlike the prize, which is one narrative that moves forward, this is a series of narratives that tie together, but I think answer the big questions around the question of how are we going to meet the energy supplies of a growing world, what do we do about energy security, and about energy and the environment. And I think those are the underlying themes that really tie it together.
One of the things I know that you've spoken of already is LNG and British Columbia's belief that there is an opportunity for BC to develop into this area. Can you talk about that, please?
BC has a very good opportunity today because, first of all, the development of shale gas, and secondly, the growth in need for gas, particularly in Asia. And putting those together and its geography, BC could have an important role, and one that would be very beneficial to the economy of BC, to its abilities, its expenditures for health and education and so forth. But it is a competitive world, and so there is a window, and there are a lot of other people who want to go through that window as well. So being able to pursue it in a way that's efficient, clear decision making, dealing with the labor supplies that need to be there, the fiscal regime, all those things, getting the pieces together would make BC an important player in the global market and a real contribution both for BC and for the world community.
In your opinion, is natural gas extraction safe for water, for air, for people around it?
People have been extracting natural gas for a long time, and I was on the committee that President Obama set up to look at the environmental aspects around shale gas, and came away saying if it's done properly, it's properly regulated, it can be a major contribution. It's 44% of U.S. natural gas today, and if there were real big environmental problems, we would have heard about it.
In the next 100 years, could you offer any predictions as to what our energy mix will look like?
Well, I feel I can sort of go out about another 20 or 25 years, and I think we'll see a lot of growth in renewables, but we'll also see a lot of growth in conventional energy because the energy demand, that growth is going to be in the emerging markets. And so, I think 20 years from now, the energy mix will not look too different. 20, 25 years from now, could start to look different if we see the impact of innovations today. But one of the things I think that kind of has been learned over the last few years is that innovation in the energy industry doesn't happen overnight. It's not like something in the tech industry in Silicon Valley. It really, takes time, capital, there's regulation, you go through a number of cycles to get there. And so, you're not going to have the kind of miraculous change overnight, but I think we will continue to move in terms of conventional energy as well towards cleaner use of it and more efficient. And I think efficiency is an important part of the picture as well.
And that's it for Higher Ground this week. Make sure you visit our website at resourceworks.com, sign up for our newsletter, and don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. For ResourceWorks, I'm Stuart Muir.